we've had a chance to fly the Huey, and let's take a look at the model characteristics and the pilot experience. Let's get a review on it, see where it stacks up. Build as advertised, we gave it a 5 out of 5. It's a ready-to-fly helicopter. As Kurt mentioned, all the details there. There really weren't any adjustments needed out of the box.
No.
It flew fine.
A little bit of trim on the radio, but that's typical of any model you pull out.
Okay, the finish, obviously a 5 out of 5. As Kurt mentioned, this is a very nicely done scale model. I'm big into scale. I was instantly attracted to it just because of the looks.
Yep, it's fun.
Power, 5 out of 5, definitely. This is a powerful little helicopter for being small.
Flown a lot of coaxes, and one thing that they do is rob power. I mean, you have 2 motors for one, and I thought most models were amply powered until I got my hands on this. It was really impressive. They've put some really strong motors, and one thing I noticed is the magnets are very strong in it when you actually turn the rotor by hand. It snaps and pops pretty well. So I said, wow, this has a lot of magnet strength in the motor. So with that, it takes a little more power to get it going, to get it started, a little more current to get it started. So your initial draw, your peak draw off the bat is a little higher, and your runtime draw is a little higher as well. I think that's why I included both the batteries.
Yeah.
You don't have quite the runtimes. We'll talk about that, but little compromised runtimes, but you definitely make up for it in power. With coaxials, you get a lot of washout. A lot of washout. As soon as you get moving forward, you have the 2 counter-rotating rotors fighting each other a little bit for lift. So you'll see some very common characteristics as it'll want to flare or wash as soon as you get forward movement, and it kind of swings like a pendulum and settles itself back out. The Heli-Max, the UH-1D Huey has a lot of power, so you're able to power right through that washout. And if you do counterclockwise turns and you're elevated, you actually tip it pretty far forward and really hit the power, so you've got some nice elevation going on. You can get some good whipping circles going for a coax. You kind of forget it's a dual.
Well, I think that's
rotor helicopter.
That's what threw me off when I flew it. I mean, I'm not much of a helicopter pilot. I'm not going to deny that at all. But I can fly out some of the coaxials comfortably. I didn't expect this one to be as powerful as it was, and it caught me off guard. One thing I noticed right out of the box is it has very fast forward flight, which is odd in a coaxial helicopter. Usually that's one of the areas that it is a drawback. This thing, for me, nothing against the model. It was out of my comfort zone for coaxial because I'm not a helicopter pilot. Is there anything wrong with it? No, not at all. But if you're expecting it to fly like some of the other coaxials out there, it's not going to.
Many coaxials, you jam the power to it, it comes up nice and slow and easy and graceful, and then you throw forward cyclic as far as you can, and it kind of just slowly starts moving around the room. Even on low rates, this doesn't do that. It'll get up and start moving on you. Now, with that said, though, low rates are very gentle, but if you have any sort of orientation hiccups or pauses, which many early helicopter pilots do, this model can kind of get away from you a little bit more.
Well, this one's going to require more reaction time than a lot of your coaxials out there.
Absolutely. Well, that's why it appealed to me. It appealed to me because I fly helicopters, and it gave me more control and more agility and more response indoors in a coaxial than I get off of my other coaxials. The others are just so docile and they're so slow and gentle that you're kind of like you're sitting on the couch and you got the cyclic jam forward and you're just watching it go, and you're pretty much flying with the rudder. You know, you're using the motor differential to just steer it in different areas. You actually fly this. You use left and right cyclic, forward and back cyclic on it. It's fun. It's a fun helicopter to fly. It has a lot of power and you feel that. So the power was fantastic.
Great. Ground handling, 4.5 out of 5.
It's with the power, with the response, getting your throttle positive and negative throttle response is a little more abrupt than if you have a kind of a slower, more less responsive motor. You're going to have your climbing and descending is going to be a little more gradual. With this, it's power on, power off very easily, so you can over adjust for one when you're getting used to it. The other is it's a heavier model. It's a heavier coaxial. It has it has a heavy scale body on it. So when you got more weight, you're going to feel more influence with rotor wash when you're down low. So it kind of scoots around a little bit more.
Durability, we gave it a 3.5 out of 5. Now, when we were flying this around, and you can see where we were flying it in the video, and we were having a lot of fun with it.
You got to have fun. It's a scale helicopter. You got to take it out in the woods. And
you got to do some recon missions. Absolutely. But, you know, one thing that we noticed, the fly bar, we did have a couple issues with it. Not out of the box, but it didn't handle the abuse like a lot of fly bars will on some of the other ones.
It's a very thin fly bar, and what you'll notice is the fly bar bending this way is not nearly as detrimental as I guess lateral movement, lateral bending. So if the fly bar bends horizontally, at that point it's lost its balance. You're outside of the circle of the balance point on the actual CG point of the fly bar, and it really starts shaking on
Yeah.
you. So if you have an impact, which it handles surprisingly with the scale body.
it did, yeah.
It handles some impacts pretty
Yes.
well. We were able to pull it right back, and we never replaced a rotor blade. We never replaced a tail rotor, and all we had to do is bend the flybar back a little bit. No gears stripping or grinding or anything like that. It was pretty durable, considering. But check that flybar. If it's got a lot of wobble going on, a lot of wiggle after a little impact, look at it from top down and make sure that it draws a straight line. If it doesn't, straighten it out that way. Then look at it horizontally and make sure that it's straight.
And you'll feel the difference the instant you've got it close.
You'll notice it in the tail. It'll be
Sure.
wiggling like crazy or a shake, and it'll smooth right out as soon as you straighten that flybar. So.
Flight as advertised, 3.5 out of 5.
It says, the box says, incredibly detailed, easy to fly. It is easy to fly compared to a single rotor helicopter, but among its brethren in the coaxial worlds, I'll say that it's of the more challenging to fly. Coaxials. It's powerful, it's heavier, and it requires a little more orientation skill than what people do out of the box typically for coaxials.
Flight time, 4 out of 5. You seem to get some pretty good flights out of this.
Yeah, it really was. I thought it was going to be worse when they included 2 batteries. Oh my God, 2 600 milliamp batteries. This is going to be a pretty short flight. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad at all. Medium throttle, mid throttle, which is plenty of power to keep it aloft. You can get 5 minutes out of it. 5-minute flight indoor.
We were able to make it down to the valley floor there at a riverbank and come back up.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, without
take a couple of hostages, you know, or save a few villagers.
All right, field size. You can go with a small field, small flying area, obviously a gymnasium, large.
You can fly in your bathroom. It's a coaxial. You can sit there, and you see on the video. You can just rotate about a circle, and it'll hold a nice stable hover. But you really want to take advantage of that power and that forward flight speed. Get it into a little larger room. Get it into a garage. Get into a gymnasium or outdoors.
Take it out in a nice evening, calm evening.
Absolutely, it's a great outdoor flyer. With the power, it really helps.
Okay, portability, we've got 3.5 out of 5.
We went back and forth on this. I think one thing that we've noticed with the Novus line of helicopters is that their packaging itself is that blow molded plastic. It's very rigid, kind of hard to get in and out. It's not a
it's a two-piece where one slips over the other and they're formed together. It snaps.
Now on top of that, with this having a lot of scale features, it's a little pitot tube up front. There's a lot of small plastic pieces that can break off. If you kind of get a good bear grip on a thing, you're going to break it. So it's not as durable as some of the other coaxials that we see out there. But then again, it held up pretty well to some impact. So we kind of tried to find a happy medium, say about 3.5 on portability.
Yeah, the size of it itself definitely helps.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You can sit it beside you in a seat or something when you're driving if you want to go
all over the place.
Skill level, we put this at a beginner to intermediate, mainly because, as Kurt mentioned earlier, this is going to be at the upper end of the beginner scale. Me being a beginner or below on helicopters. Like I said, it was a little too quick for me to be comfortable flying. Obviously, it's something I could easily pick up with more, more practice. But to grab it right out of the box, like some of the other ones, hover it and fly it around a room, I can't do that with this one. No disrespect to the plane itself or how it's designed.
If you're a beginner walking into this and you want to learn how to fly helicopters, coaxials are always a great idea. So I would never deter a beginner from going into this helicopter. With that said, give yourself the benefit of the doubt and do it in a large open space.
Exactly.
A large living room with furniture away, something to where if you kind of lose your orientation, you can ease off on the throttle, let it come down, and recover, and you'll have some good success with it. But if you think you're going to fly it around a lot of obstructions and you're going to hit the walls and bounce off of things and walk away without any damage, you're probably fooling yourself. It's not quite as impact resistant, and it requires a little more orientation skill to be able to keep in a tight, focused area. Not to say it won't settle into a nice coaxial hover. You can set the radio down; it'll sit there and hover all day. But once you start flying it around, you're going to notice a little more response than what you typically see off a coax. So, beginner, intermediate, absolutely.
All right.
Well, if you have any more questions, you can go out and see the full review at tobefly.com under the review section. If you have any questions that remain unanswered, you can click on the icon in the lower left corner of the screen that says Ask To, and send us a message, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. I'm Kurt Gornick of Two Brothers Hobby.
And I'm Rob Gornick. Thanks for watching.